is Bridget Bedville. I work here at the Criminal Justice Commission. I've just started recording this meeting just for everyone's awareness. I use she, her pronouns. I will ask my colleagues from the CJC who will also be presenting with me to introduce themselves real quick. So Casey and Rachel, if you've got a minute, that'd be great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Casey Dahlstrom. I'm a program analyst with the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission, and I use she, her pronouns. Happy to be here.
Hi, y'all. I'm Rachel MacArthur. I'm a policy analyst at CJC as well, and I'm happy to be here.
Thanks, everyone. Good morning again. If you are here for a Restorative Justice Grant Program meeting, you're in the right place. If not, you can certainly stay. Happy to have you. Today's meeting is essentially an overview for Grant Review Committee members of program rules and requirements, how the application review process will go, and an opportunity for you to ask questions to make sure that you know kind of what to expect during the next month or so when we're reviewing these applications and ultimately when decisions are made. So first things first, I don't want to assume that, or actually maybe we should do this real quick. I'm sorry. Why don't we go around and anyone who is a member of the Grant Review Committee, would you say hi real quick and just give us maybe one sentence about your background? Let's do that. So I will start with Elaine Walters, and then maybe Elaine, would you, if you want to popcorn it to someone else, great. If not, I can do that.
Okay, I can't see everyone very well, so I might get you to do it because I can just see the screen mostly. My name's Elaine Walters. I am with the Trauma Healing Project in Eugene, Oregon, and happy to be here today.
Great, thank you, Elaine. I'll go to Aaron Knott next.
Good morning. I'm Aaron Knott. I am the Policy Director for the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office.
Thank you. I will go to Shannon Wilson, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Shannon Wilson. I am the Director at the Public Defenders of Marion County.
Great, thank you. Let's see, Simon Fulford.
Hey folks, Simon Fulford, President of the Restorative Justice Coalition of Oregon.
Thank you. Michael Kaiser.
Michael Kaiser, I'm an interested person. Actually am interested in restorative justice and transformative justice as one who has lived experience and is working on various committees and working with people to put together a reentry program.
Great, thank you. Let's see, Ashley Beatty.
Hi, good morning. Ashley Beatty. I'm the Victims Assistance Program Director here in Deschutes County.
Okay. I want to make sure I got everyone. I see William Barnes is here today. William?
I am William Barnes, the Director of Red is the Road to Wellness in Klamath Falls, Oregon, a social service organization.
Thank you. I think that is all of our Grant Review Committee members who are able to make it today. If you are a GRC member and you're here, will you please correct me if I'm wrong, if I missed you? All right, I think we got everyone. Thank you. All right, I'll keep moving. So don't want to assume that folks are familiar with the Criminal Justice Commission. The Criminal Justice Commission is a state agency. We're based in Salem. We have a 7-member body of appointed commissioners who make decisions. We also have a about 20 person agency. We do research projects, policy groups, and grant programs like this one. Just to kind of ground us, our agency's statutory purpose is to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of state and local criminal justice systems by providing a centralized and impartial forum for statewide policy development and planning. And those 3 purposes I just mentioned fall within that. So what is the Restorative Justice Grant Committee? That is the folks who will be evaluating and approving grant applications in this new grant program, which we will be covering some of the background on for anyone who is new to the Grant Review Committee. So this was created in House Bill 2204. Some of you might be familiar with this. These are public meetings, so any meeting we have with the Grant Review Committee is open to the public, so they can hear the deliberations. And again, the two key roles for the GRC itself, and I will say GRC as a short term for Grant Review Committee, is evaluating the applications that were submitted and approving those to go to the commission. The commission has ultimate funding decision authority, but the applications they see are going to be the ones you send them. So your role is significant. So to go over some roles a little bit more in a little more detail. So we've got three essential groups here that participate: staff, the GRC, and the commission. Staff, we don't make decisions, but we do review applications for completeness. We assess them for adherence to any program rules and program preferences. Essentially, we do sort of a deep dive into what are the differences between each application. And when we do meet for that decision-making meeting in April, we're going to be the ones that kind of help you see what's different about this one versus this one, so that you can apply your discretion in a very informed way. And lastly, we ensure that the GRC and the commission apply the program rules consistently. So we're kind of the referee, if you will, on making sure all of the decisions are made within the program guidelines. The GRC's roles are evaluating applications, applying a scoring rubric that folks got, and any preferences. As I will go into, there are preferences around this program. You discuss applications collaboratively, and again, you approve the applications that are sent to the commission to authorize them for funding. The commission, because they are the body that has the authority to spend our agency's money, do make the ultimate funding decisions on those applications approved by the GRC. And at any point, if you have questions, please let me know. So just to give you sort of a link list of the operating guidelines, if you're not familiar with them, the things we use to kind of govern this program are administrative rules that have been adopted. There's a link there to Division 40, our grant management handbook, which is essentially a book of rules and policies that we apply to all of our grant programs, and the request for grant proposals, which is what applicants got when they were applying as their sort of guidebook in developing their programs. One thing I wanted to reiterate for this program, there are a lot of different ways of viewing and applying restorative justice. For this program, the Rules Advisory Committee settled on, and then I guess the commission approved, a definition of restorative justice that is as follows: a community-based alternative to the criminal and juvenile legal systems that aims to center the needs of the harmed party and foster accountability within the responsible party without resorting to incarceration or criminal conviction. Again, I iterate that just to make sure we're all on the same page about that. There are two types of programs. When folks were asked to apply, they had to select, are you an established program or an implementation program? Established builds on what already exists. Implementation builds on something new. That's significant because when you are reviewing applications, you may see some opportunities to invest in programs that are already doing work, or you may see some opportunities to invest in something that hasn't existed before and that may be important to you when you are making decisions. So what are the grant program's statutory requirements? These are the things that the legislature put in the bill that created this program that we all have to follow. The programs that are funded must demonstrate the following. They must center the experiences of folks harmed. They must encourage those who have caused harm to take responsibility to repair the harm. They must support persons who have been harmed, impacted community members and responsible parties, and identifying solutions that promote healing, including promoting dialogue and mutual agreement. Applications must coordinate with community-based organizations, and they must have an ability to work collaboratively with system partners, which may include law enforcement, courts, district attorneys, and defense attorneys, among others. One thing we want to be clear about, collaboration must show a demonstration to, being willing to communicate or involve folks. It does not require that they are involved or approved of or get funded. It's kind of a communication street. So program design requirements. This is a front-end grant program. So I won't read everything on the slide here to you, but essentially the definition of restorative justice that the Rules Advisory Committee and Commission adopted is that this must be anything pre-conviction or adjudication. I essentially point folks to the green zone there. That is where these programs may operate. If someone's getting a conviction or is otherwise adjudicated, we're not funding those programs through this program. Eligible applicants include public entities, which includes any of the 9 federally recognized tribes, or any public body, I should say in Oregon, any public body, which includes state government, local government, and then special government bodies. There might be a soil district out there, but I don't think we're going to see those. Private entities can include corporations, trusts, associations, and these 2 entities, public and private, may apply jointly. So how much funding will you have to decide upon? There's $4 million in competitive funds available through this program. Essentially, the folks who apply and are ultimately awarded have a project period that is between January 1st, 2022 and December 31st of 2023. That means that if they had a program cost that is eligible, they could pay for it going back to January 1st through December 31st of 2023. It is possible to do a 1-year grant extension if a program needs it after that 2023 date. That's kind of a TBD. So these are the preference components, and these are going to be the things that are discretionary for you to apply throughout the decision-making process if you deem appropriate. So preferences include offering services that engage or serve rural or historically underserved regions or areas in Oregon, offering services that engage or provide culturally appropriate services to socially disadvantaged individuals, partnering with research entities to track and report on outcome measures, addressing cases involving person felonies or misdemeanors, programs that address case types that carry a presumptive prison sentence, prioritizing funding for direct services to parties harmed and persons who committed harm, and then not disqualifying participants based on a prior criminal history. So how does this work when you're actually going through and trying to make decisions? One thing we want to make sure is preferences are program elements that you may prioritize. They are not required for a program to be eligible for funding. So it is possible to see a program apply that has none of those preferences. It doesn't disqualify them from this grant. It is up to the grant review committee to apply those preferences as you see fit. So when we say this, you're going to have to decide, and this is really kind of a heads up for your April 28th meeting where you're actually going to be making decisions together. You can do this in a number of ways. You can operate the majority vote. You can operate as a consensus. That's going to be something you have to decide. And I think while you're reviewing applications, it's something to be thinking about. Additionally, applying preferences can be done uniformly. You may look through that list of preferences and say, these are the ones that we should apply to everyone. You may do it situationally, where you're going to apply preferences based on different applications and their context. Sorry, this is a lot of talking, so that is why seltzer is necessary. One thing to note, and this is really the sort of key for us as sort of the staff referees, when you are applying a preference, we must be able to articulate why you're making a decision. So if you're going to apply on a preference for cases for person felonies on one, but not another, we have to have a substantial reason that we can articulate why you did that. Perhaps it's because the design of the other program served a different population. Maybe it was just, in a more rural area and resources were different. Whatever it is, we have to make sure we can articulate that reason. So again, we kind of give this to you as a heads up ahead of time to be thinking about how you would like this to work. For a timeline, this is sort of how we see the timeline of this grant going forward. So we're in essentially the peach color, the staff review area. February to March is where folks applied. Now we're in this March 29th meeting. Staff is currently reviewing the applications that came in last week for adherence to rules, completeness, eligibility, all of that stuff. You will receive the application shortly, and you will begin your period of review. You will meet April 28th to discuss, deliberate, all of those things on what applications you want to recommend for funding to the commission. On May 18th, the commission will meet to review those recommended applications and make funding decisions. We will let you and the applicants know promptly as to what was funded. In May or June, or that sort of time period, this is when we begin contracting and try to get funds out quickly. And then grantees who are awarded funds should expect their first reporting deadlines to be about October. So now I'm going to stop my screen share and turn it over to my colleague Casey, who is going to tell you how you're going to be able to access the applications. Actually, I'm going to go one slide ahead.
You can go ahead and leave it on slide 15, Bridget, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Casey Dahlstrom here from CJC. I am going to walk you through how you will be accessing these applications. So we are going to utilize Google Drive, and a link will be shared with all grant review committee members via email by the end of day today. There are 9 applications in total that we will be reviewing. Those are all the ones that we received. And I've basically organized them into folders, and each folder will contain the actual application in its entirety, which could include the optional evidence of commitment, such as letters of support, memorandums of understanding, etc. The folder will also contain the budget expense sheet and a scoring rubric. So that's what you can see here on this slide. Once you get the Google Drive link, there will be 2 folders there, 2022 applications, which contains all of the applications that you'll be reviewing, all 9, and then a folder that also contains references. And the references include copies of the request for grant proposals, the CJC Grant Management Handbook that Bridget mentioned earlier, as well as a link to the Oregon Administrative Rules for this grant, and a link to the previous informational webinar that we hosted back in February for all the grantees, in case you were wondering how we set expectations for them. Bridget, do you mind navigating to the next slide? Thank you. So before I hop in and do my screen share here, to give you a quick overview of how you'll be actually accessing these things, it will be very important for you to right-click on the scoring rubric and download a copy to your own computer. This means that you'll have your own personal scoring rubric for each application, and that also allows us a little bit of privacy when we're assigning any sort of scores, and that way you're not seeing a scoring rubric that's already all filled out when you navigate to these folders, because all GRC members will have access to each of these folders. Once you've got that scoring rubric downloaded and you're ready to tackle this, you'll start reviewing the application and budget expense sheets that each organization has submitted. And to give you a heads up, these applications, are relatively short in our, CJC minds. We're used to 50, 60, 70 pages of applications. These ones are more in the 30 to 50 range. And any sort of attachments, like I mentioned earlier, the optional evidence of commitment that these folks, had the option to upload, but was not required, are just kind of added on after the application. So there's not going to be additional documents in these folders that you need to search for. It's just one large PDF application that includes any of those evidence of commitment documents. Once you have all of these scores, and we'll go over how to score in a little bit, but once you have your scores saved on your rubric, you will actually send that completed scoring rubric to Rachel MacArthur, and I have her email there, but we'll also include it in our email later today. And she will then, begin to organize and tabulate all the scoring, and we'll again go into that in a little bit. 2 reminders for you all during this process. Please do not share these applications or access to these applications with anyone outside of the GRC, because right now we are in the individual review process, and the collective discussion that you all will have will be on April 28th. We do this just to make sure that there are no other outside influences that might make you consider one more application more than another. But yeah, Bridget, go ahead and stop sharing your screen. I will take over and show you guys a little bit about the Google Drive. All right, so what you should see right now is the Google Drive, and I'm currently in a sample application. So this is what I meant here. You see the RJ scoring rubric, the sample budget expense sheet. This will include the organization's name, as well as here, sample RJ application. This will include the organization's name. So this is my first folder to review, let's say. Make sure you right click, download a copy of that scoring rubric to your computer. It will automatically load with the organization's name here. So, feel free to add whatever onto it, but this is how it will pop up. I have one up here, and be sure to include these top 2 pieces of information before getting into your scores. So who you are, the name of the reviewer, and which specific application you're reviewing now. So what folder are you in when you are reviewing those applications? Here we, I guess we pictured people entering X's to mark, which scores, but feel free to use whatever character you want. Back here in the sample restorative justice application folder, you can see that there is a budget expense sheet. This will take a few moments. Thank you, Google. But this is how it'll open up. Obviously, the one that you'll be seeing will have things entered into it, but you're able to review each specific line item and then a justification for why it was included in their application. So this is going to be part of your review. There's a grand summation here at the bottom for their total budget request, etc. And then the actual application itself, as I said, they are uploaded in their entirety. And what that means is, you have access to their fiscal contact, their narrative questions that they've submitted, as well as at the very bottom, the evidence of commitment, which again is not required. It's completely optional for applicants to do. This particular sample application chose not to include any evidence of commitment, but if there were to be here, they would just continue to follow below this page. So you just keep scrolling down, and the way you'll know, if you don't want to continue scrolling, there will be basically line items of like, oh, here's an MOU, here is a letter of support, similarly to how this says the example RJ budget sheet. So that's Google Drive. Once again, you will have an email in your inbox by the end of the day today with a link. Does anyone have any questions about how to access the applications, or is anyone not familiar with Google Drive at all? Because I'm happy to connect with you offline and walk through it. Cool, thanks, Simon. All right, I'll go ahead. Bridget, if you don't mind pulling up the slides again, and I think I'll be passing it off to Rachel.
Can do.
What a lovely tight ship you have over there.
We try.
I can tell it's a team effort.
Okay, Rachel, I am about to get your slides open. They are just loading. All right, can everyone see review process?
Sure can.
All right. Just a reminder, my name is Rachel MacArthur. So I'm just quickly going to go over the review process, what that looks like for you all, and then touch base on the scoring rubric, because that is something that we have as an agency kind of introduced. And so I want to make sure you all understand the expectations for that in particular. And then also we're going to touch base on conflicts of interest and how that may affect scoring as well. So kind of what Bridget went over in a previous slide, CJC staff in reviewing these applications, we're going to look for eligibility. We're going to look for completeness. We're also going to flag preferences. We're going to identify and flag preferences for you all for your discussion on the 28th. 28th. And we're also going to check for any sort of conflicts. So that's our job in our review. And then for you all, you all are going to be looking at and discussing preferences in the bigger meeting, making any sort of award recommendations, approvals, and then working on the scoring rubric as well. So we're going to ask that the scoring rubric that you all will receive today will be returned to us, me in particular, by the 20th, and that will allow us time to put those scores together in a way that makes sense and that can provide you guys all the information that you'll need in the bigger discussion when you're making recommendations. So we are going to be taking all of that, the eligibility, the scores, the preferences, completeness, and categorizing and sorting these applications in a way that's palatable for you all so that you all can make your recommendations and decisions. And then, like I said, you'll be meeting for full review on the 28th. Have all of this information, and you'll be able to move forward with those recommendations. So just kind of to clarify, the preferences and that identification and the scoring rubric are two separate things. So we'll be flagging the preferences for you all for that larger discussion. In the meantime, you all will be looking at the applications using the rubric to score those as you review. Okay. Bridget, can you go to the next slide? Okay, so the scoring rubric, we essentially developed this as a way for you all to look at and score applications based on what the expectations in the RFGP are. And so for us, it's a way for this process to become very transparent. The applicants have this rubric, and so they know that what the expectations are. It's a way for there's kind of an objective process to this where we can tabulate a score. Each category is going to be summed and then averaged across by reviewers. And then we're going to sort and categorize by those scores. And so we are relying on you all, your expertise, your understanding of restorative justice as it's defined for this particular program to apply a score to each of these categories and as you see fit when you're reviewing these applications. And so we ask that you be intentional. We ask that you be very deliberate in your scoring. This is, I know that we've been referring to the 28th as kind of the big discussion in those recommendations, but this time from now until the 20th is actually kind of the bulk of your all's workload. And so things to consider are the rubric, the application, and then along with that, the budget sheet, that budget expense sheet, in theory, should all be connected in terms of the review process. And so we're utilizing this to be objective, but also relying on you all to have that subjective expertise to apply a score. And it should, at the end of it, provide a good indication of where these applications are in terms of really good, really bad, in the middle. But the overall purpose is to inform you all in making recommendations for funding. So any questions on this process, on how to score, anything like that? I don't know how often you all have used these or utilized these. So I just want to make sure this is clear.
Is it possible to zoom in a little bit more on it? I can't figure out how to see it well enough. Or do we not need to see the details in the boxes yet?
Yeah, I can actually, what I can do is share my screen. I have a,
Rachel, I got it pulled up. If you don't, I can pull it up right here.
what'd you say, Casey? I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Yep.
Oh, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
And I don't know if we need to see this level of detail yet, but I just could barely see it. So thank you.
yeah, no, that's totally fine. So basically, this should line up with the order of the application. And so going through step by step, reading the answers to the applications, as outlined in the RFGP, it should be a very thorough process of you all scoring these answers.
Okay.
So does that make sense? And it's a Likert scale, so it is based on a kind of this 5 through 0 score. That is the subjective part. That's where we're relying on your all's expertise to know what is a good answer and what is not a good answer. And then we will compile those scores and present them in a way where it makes sense for you all to be able to make recommendations on the 28th. So. And like Casey mentioned, you will have one of these specific to each application. And so you'll just send me those. I'll be getting, in theory, 9 attachments from you all. And so that we can compile them. So any questions on this particular process?
Do you want them all at once or as we complete them?
That's up to you. It's whatever is easiest for you. As long as we can get them by the 20th, that will give us enough time to compile the scores. So however you all would like to get them to me is up to you.
Rachel, if I could just add, again, to kind of set everyone's expectations for the workload, there are, only 9 applications, which sounds not too bad, but they are, lengthy and it will take time and consideration. So as you're planning out how you are going to be reviewing these over the next couple of weeks, maybe just don't save it for April 19th. So that's my best recommendation. But yeah, as Rachel mentioned, every application folder on that Google Drive, that, the 9 folders that you'll be reviewing, has its own scoring rubric. They're all identical, but the file names are different so that we can keep track of them. And that's what you'll be right-clicking to save to your personal computer and then compiling those to send over to Rachel.
Thank you, Casey. And if you all, when you're doing this, if you all have questions or, if this is a new process that you've not done before, please don't hesitate to reach out. Just for clarification, I obviously can't tell you how to score. That is your all's job. But if you do have questions in terms of just whether or not it's making sense or if there's a component of it that sounds a little off, just don't hesitate to reach out to me while you're doing this, for sure. Okay, so if there's no other questions on this particular one, then we'll go to the next slide. So conflicts of interest, this is something that we do have to address with every grant review committee. So grant review committee members cannot take part in a decision-making process or make any recommendations on an application that in any way will benefit them, okay? And so if there is an application while you're going through your review where a grant review committee has submitted it, contributed to, or would receive funding through, or otherwise would bestow benefits upon that member, we will ask that you identify that conflict prior to the meeting on the 28th so that we can flag that. Okay, and so our process on that day of review is we're going to ask that you don't score that application at all. Don't apply any scores to that. And we're going to ask during that meeting that to actually, it's a kind of it's a virtual meeting, so we're actually going to ask that you leave the meeting, and we will make sure that we're able to contact you before you do depart, and then we will call you back once that entire discussion regarding that application is over. It is very important not to score the application, because we are going to be utilizing the number of reviewers per application as part of our overall scoring. And so we want to make sure that we catch that. So please, if you all, identify some sort of conflict, you can reach out to me and say, I will not be scoring this application, and here is why. And I can make note of that, and then carry that into the meeting on the 28th, where we will ask you to kind of leave that part of the discussion within those recommendations for that particular application. So, any questions on this? Okay, so just remember, oh, sorry, I see one hand up. Yep.
So it sounds like conflicts are direct conflicts. So somehow you or your organization would directly benefit in some way. And so knowing people, because it's a small world, knowing people in a community that you care about does not create a conflict, because we care about everybody and we know a lot of people. But the conflicts where we would need to withdraw our participation would be, and I will have one. There's an application that has us named as a partner. And so in that one, that feels very, very clear to me. I have no question about that. But I really appreciate this definition of it, but I want to make sure that I'm reading it right.
Yes, that's correct. So it's anything where there's been any sort of contribution where you or your organization may benefit from the funding recommendations. If there's been any sort of, any sort of benefit that you may get from the decision or the review of the application, we just ask that you just remove yourself from that process.
Okay, thank you.
So, and just flag that, whatever application you were talking about, and let me know that you're not providing a score on that for this reason.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So just to kind of close this part of it, you all are responsible for the rubric, the review of the application, and the budget expense sheet. Staff will be looking at eligibility, completeness of the applications, and we will also be flagging preferences for you all, so that you all can go through that process on the 28th. Send all the rubrics, completed rubrics, before the 20th to me, as well as flagging any conflicts of interest and any applications that will not be scored because of that. So, and that is all I have. So, Bridget, I'm not sure what's next. Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Rachel. So what's next is just our contact info. I know we have for the rubric, we do ask that if you can get it to Rachel. If you send it to Casey or me, we'll also get it to Rachel. But otherwise, any questions you can really direct to any of us. We do work together on this. So these slides will be sent out to you. So if you don't have our contacts, you will have it shortly. Because this is a public meeting, I do want to give 5 minutes for an opportunity for public comment. So if we have any members of the public who want to comment, I will say comment is, the rules that have been in place for restorative justice are already set. So this isn't an opportunity for commenting on, a definition and an administrative rule, because that opportunity has passed. But if you do have a comment about something you heard today, here is your chance. So please raise your hand or unmute yourself, whatever is most comfortable. And we'll dedicate about 5 minutes to this if there are comments. So would anyone like to speak up? I'm not hearing anybody. So what I will do is I will move to grant review committee member questions. And if any member of the public does think of something that they would like to put into the public record before our meeting ends, please let me know. If you think of something after the fact, you can send it to us and we will get it out to the grant review committee. So grant review committee members, do you have any questions that you haven't had answered so far? If not, we may have just completed our meeting much quicker than we anticipated, which is, I think, nice for everyone. So again, I want to make sure everyone has ample time to ask questions if something does come up, but if not, we will end our recording and email this out, and you will hear from us shortly. Simon, did you have something?
I just want to say thank you. It was said before, really well organized. Clearly you work as a team, although there seemed like on that last slide, one animal missing. No, thank you. It's really helpful guidance. It lets me know what I have to do, and it does sound like quite a lot of work. I don't quite know why we didn't limit the applications to like 2 or 3 pages, but there we are. I look forward to digging into them all.
Thank you, Simon. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here. We appreciate your work. We can't do these programs if we don't have people who are willing to be grant review committee members. So it is a very important role for public process. So yeah, thank you very much. I don't know, Casey and Rachel, if you've got anything, and if not, I will let us all go. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.